We're going to wait for our friends to come in as we prepare for the study. 15 cases of past lives. This is day 15th. We're closing this very section today in which we are cleansing our past lives awareness and beginning a new phase. Tomorrow, we're going to begin 10 days of peacemaking skills. Yes, we need it because after revisiting our previous lives, we need to make peace with it. Peace is not something that is external, it's inside of us. So today we are going to be studying one of the chapters from the book by Amália Domingo Soler, Hechos que Prueban, in Spanish. In Portuguese, Reencarnação e Vida, and in English, it's just translated under revision, and actually the book that is translated is 15 Vidas Passadas by Amália Domingo Soler, and it's already in English and awaiting its publication, okay? So right now, we are here with you on Facebook Live, and hopefully everybody is able to see and to join us making comments, right? Let me see if I can see the feedback of everybody here. Okay, so sharing so other friends can join us from other locations, right? All right, now we're ready. Right, Adilson, how are you? Carol and Mark, how are you? And Andrea Torres, how are you? Sunshine, how are you? All good? Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Angelita. It's great to know. Hello, Felipe, how are you? Friends, today the case is dramatic, but I can tell you this. Reality is ever more dramatic. The cases by Amália Domingo Soler are just a light touch about the reality of life. And it's good for us because it talks about the reasons why we go through things in life. The reasons why we feel what we feel, we do what we do. So let us be open. Hello, Carol Correa. Hello, Rudy, Danny and Erica. Hello, Rihanna. So all these past 14 days, if we could find a common point, the common point is about the reasons why we connect with people. We have relationships with people in our families, relatives, mostly because of previous lives encounters. And we are being asked to refine our relationship. Nothing is by chance. The feelings we have for people, they don't happen out of the blue. They have an explanation. So this book helps us understand more about ourselves. It helps us understand more about who we are. Right, Aline? Welcome, Sol. Thank you, Mark, for joining us together with Carol. Thank you. And in this therapeutic conversation today, this case goes to the core of ourselves. It's about the father-son relationship. Who are our parents? Who are we for them? You want to know? Can we? Ready, friends? Let us join. The boy killed by his father. It's actually news that came from Paris to Amália Domingo Soler. Paris saw yesterday one of those spectacles that will never be erased from the memory of the people. Little Peter, a 3-year-old boy, martyred by his father, was taken from the mortuary to the cemetery, followed by a procession of 4 million people. We have no record of any other case in this proportion. His little coffin disappeared before the multitude of flowers and offerings of working fathers and mothers on behalf of their children. When the body was placed in the mausoleum, all those people were depositing a handful of earth on the coffin of this victim of barbarism, of denatured father. The people of Paris wished, with that great manifestation, to prove to the world that inhuman behavior is a rare exception amongst its members. So a father that killed a 3-year-old boy. How often do you see similar news nowadays? It happens more than we want to know. Right, Leia? Severo. So Amália Domingo Soler is deeply touched and impressed, and she writes, I was deeply impressed by the horrible story of a child's martyrdom and his burial. The first reveals a terrible evil, and the second shows the advancement of humanity. Undoubtedly, people are moved inwardly, slowly losing their ferocity, right? And then the spirit replies to Amália in the psychography, saying the following: do not judge so lightly, Amália. The spirit is telling her, do not judge so lightly, Amália. I don't know why the light is so bright today. The light is brighter. Don't ask me why, because I've never seen that before. Right? And I don't see the light flickering or anything, but I see something happening here on Facebook. I don't know. We're not alone. Rudy's birthday. Oh, mamma mia. Rudy, wait up, okay? That's probably why the light is coming up here, to let us know. We're gonna sing to you. Hello, Solange. How are you? And for those who are listening to this on demand, either at Kardec Radio, the radio, or YouTube, please forgive us. But we feel so close to one another, right? We feel so close to each other. We feel so united. Even for you who is listening or watching us on demand, and we may not say your name or know you in person, but you know what? As Leon Denis says, one day we're destined to know one another, to be together, and to love each other. Right? Fabiane. I know. Thank you, friends. But you know, I'm going straight to the case before we sing happy birthday. Do not judge so lightly. Human acts according to circumstances. You can be sure that for many centuries humankind has been able to help the defenseless and also persecute the aggressor. The spirit to whom the French keep a tribute in his memory was persecuted by these same people, by this mass of justice seekers. So the child who is, in this case, 3 years of age, and gained the emotions of millions of people in Paris, in the past was lynched, persecuted by the very same people. Oh man, what? What are you talking about? What is it all about? Good question. The nobleman in the early 18th century was haunted by this mess in the streets of Paris with the single purpose to be lynched. You know why? This is the Spirit asking. Because the spirit of the young Peter was a nobleman in French royalty. He possessed everything, titles, possessions, but lacked feelings, humanity. He was very violent, aggressive. He imposed fear on all of his servants, especially on children. And one of his servants was the beautiful Isaiah, a boy whom all of Paris knew for his gallant figure and the way he rode horses. The women of the village, when they saw Isaiah, they envied the mother of this admirable young man. One morning, the young man and his master left for a walk. The horse that Isaiah was riding stumbled and fell. This fall caused the animal to suffer very serious injuries, and the nobleman forced Isaiah to lie on the ground, whipping him to death. The people became angry. Women roared like beasts. They pursued the nobleman, and when they were about to arrest him, he took refuge in the royal palace. Even there, the masses had asked for his death by the hands of an executioner, since they had not managed to lynch him as they intended. And the crowd was so indignant that to avoid greater evils, the authorities condemned him to death. He went up to the scaffolding and listened to the follies of the people who said they were generous. Yesterday's nobleman is little Peter, who acknowledged his inferiority thanks to the spirit of Isaiah, who is, so to speak, his guardian angel. Peter chose some of his many enemies to have as his family on earth, and incarnated, ready to begin a process of reconciliation. And that's precisely why today we end with this chapter, and tomorrow we begin 10 days of peacemaking skills. Yes, and I will have guests talking with us about the messages and sharing true practical exercises, because life is all about reconciliation with God, with ourselves, and with others. That's why we're here. And Peter, he chose one of his enemies to be in his family, okay? And his present father, who was his victim in another life, died by hanging. So Peter was very influential. He asked to kill a man who then in this life is his father. But the father could not see in his son more than a being whom he hated with all his heart. Thus he always took pleasure in tormenting his son with unprecedented ferocity, bringing reproach upon the whole spirit. This is because a child always inspires pity for its defenselessness. Okay, hold on for a second. I want to share something with you. For those who are entering now, hello, Leo Vieira, hello, Adolfo Xavier, hello, Patricia. Now, let us go back here. Peter is the 3-year-old boy. His father in this life killed him mercilessly. Okay? He's buried, and millions of people come moved by the atrocity. Amalia asked the spirit mentor 2 things. Why did this father did this to this son? And second, why did it attract the attention of these millions of people? In one previous life, the one before that, Peter, who is 3 years old now, in a previous life was a very noble man, but very cruel, very aggressive. He killed people, he had a lot of authority, he misused his power, etc. Not only that, but he was the one who killed his own servant who was adored by the people in Paris. And these people came against him in a previous life. They wanted to lynch him, but they were unable. But he died anyways of capital punishment through the authorities of the time. He realized he was wrong in the spiritual realm and said, I want to go back, reconcile, and I choose this person whom I killed, somebody who he killed, to be his father, because he really was angry with Peter. Some people, they are the victims of crimes, but they don't take offense. They forgive. Others, they become the very persecutors of the person because they feel it's too hard to forgive. This father reincarnates, brings, the mother gestates, and he is raising the kid. But it's interesting to observe, the father always hated the son, always tormented the son, always violent with the son. How many parents are like this? They don't know why, but they look at their child, they despise. They bully the child. They feel the pleasure of putting them down. Why? Because they have not forgiven. And I'm sorry to break the news, but there's no excuse. It's the worst crime. The worst crime ever is when you're a parent and you are not able to give your child the love that they need, because they are the vulnerable part, the fragile part. They depend on you. Some people say President Trump is abusing his power. My question is, are we not abusing our power before our children? When we disrespect them, when we put them down, when we bully them. I'll give an example. A child is learning to write, and we think we're so wise. We look at a child and say, you're kidding me, right? This is not correct. And you feel like you're so great because you know how to write, and your child doesn't remember that yet. That is abuse of power. That is really abuse of power. But sunshine, when the child dislikes the parent, it may happen. They need to honor the parents, but it's worse when the father or mother dislikes the child and abuses the child. Why? I'm going to read to you. A child always, the spirit guide of Amalia, always inspires pity for its defenselessness. And this was the only means of reconcilement that could be used on earth. You need to be a monster of iniquity. These are the words of the spirit guide of Amalia Domingo Soler. You need to be a monster of iniquity to not feel touched by a child. However ugly or disgusting it may be, the child is powerless, and she cannot defend herself, She needs the help of everyone. If an irrational animal inspires compassion when there is no food, what should happen to a little boy who cannot defend himself? Right, Sunshine, you agree? It's way worse. When a child dislikes the parent, is bad, but it's way worse when the parent abuses a child. It's a crime. It's one of the worst crimes. That is why Peter's father is a real criminal. This is the word of the Spirit. He puts new links in his long chain. Now you have to ask for mercy from the Spirit you hated so much. Even if the spirit of Peter is willing to progress, forgiveness will not take away an atom from the huge and vicious revenge of its former enemy. Peter did not come this time to suffer such martyrdom. You may be asking, did Peter the child come in this life to be murdered by the Father? No. No, he's saying this. And not only he's saying, no, there's no such plan, contract, spiritually speaking. Yeah, Peter, you reincarnate, your father is going to kill you, okay? No. The father was asked to forgive and be a father, and not the enemy of Peter. You are being asked, and I, to look at our relationships and reconcile. We are not being asked to be the instrument of God's justice. Pause for reflection. How often do you want to make justice with your own hands? No, Vanessa, I don't want to kill anybody. Yeah, physically. But how often we want to punish somebody emotionally, thinking that we're going to be the ones making justice, making them suffer so they know how it feels. No, it's not on us to make anybody suffer. It's not on us to make justice. What is justice? Our obsessors, everybody who is in our network is listening. And they better listen. You are not an instrument of God's justice. Because God loves, doesn't punish. How often we punish instead of loving. In a dialogue between Bartholomew and Jesus. And then later repeated in other words with Peter. He says, truth does not demand, it transforms. We cannot put ourselves as the people, like the obsessors. I'm going to punish this person because of what they've done, and God's going to be thankful to me. No, God is not going to be thankful because you're creating more problems for you. Our role is to be co-creators in goodness, not in evil. Jesus, there is a passage in the book Living Spring, chapter 109, Christ's example. And it says, and I'm going to quote precisely from the passage for us, because most of our problems in humanity comes when we feel the punishers, like I am the punisher. I'm going to be the one correcting everybody in my life. Do not, Jesus was concerned with providing each soul a broader vision of life and renewal for the good. Do not condemn your neighbor because you can see his or her imperfections. Following Christ's example, help as many people as you can. The divine friend knows what is in us. He knows the dark and heavy burden of our past, the difficulties of our present, full of hesitations and wrongs. Nevertheless, He lovingly holds out His hands to us. Jesus did not come and apply justice. Why? Not in the way we think. He applied in the true way. What is the true way? What is true justice? Kardec asked the spirits, and it's published in the Spirits book. When he asked, what is the concept of justice according to the superior spirits? Justice is to respect people's rights. But Vanessa, well, if God is giving this person the right to do what they are doing, I'm not going to be the one disrespecting it. But Vanessa, they are hurting people. But God gave them free will. It's between God and them. And that's where we are in trouble in our lives. When we play the justice makers, and then we're in deep trouble. We become punishers. We don't see the good. Right? Yes, Fabiani, you can ask a question. And you're right, Sunshine. We don't know justice, only God does. Divine justice is respecting people's rights. They have the right to be who they are. But I have the right to be who I want to be. Hopefully in synchronicity with God. Jesus knew who we were. He didn't give up on us. Why are you going to give up on yourself? Why are you going to give up on your relationship? Why you? Oh, because it's hurting you? Okay. But because they have shortcomings? Or no. But this father, he was an animal. Criminal. And I say animal. Animals are so cute, but I just say animalistic. Peter did not come to suffer this martyrdom. He was willing to work on his progress. It was an attempt at reconciliation that he intended to make. He would be his judge and jury at the same time, as are all spirits. He was educating himself. He did not need anyone to impose it on him. It is not for one spirit to become an evildoer of another, even though he must settle many accounts. Each one is his own tormentor. So today we're going to ask ourselves a hard question. Am I a person who is daily trying to feel like I'm making justice on the earth? Because if I am, I need to get out of that role. It doesn't help us. It complicates our lives. And we become the ones in true connection with the inferior spirits. Fabiani, let me see. Would in a situation like this, Peter the Spirit have met with the future father and mother before conception and have made mutual agreement for Peter to be born as their son? You know, one day I discussed this with Divaldo Franco, and usually, if not for all the cases, both need to give a consent spiritually. But that doesn't mean that they are already like, oh, well, we're going to be best friends. No. There's a moment they say, oh, well. But that doesn't mean when they incarnate, they're going to recall the commitment. And I'm going to give you an example, Fabiani. Even in the present life, people talk and say, I commit to helping people. A week later, they forget. Can I give you a simple example? Hello, Conceição. Beijo. Friends, let me give an example. Simple, huh? Some people say, oh, I'm gonna do this work for you and help you. And then next week they forget. Now imagine when you make a commitment without the heaviness of the body and then with the heaviness of the body that pushes us to our true vibrational reality. We're going to be tested at our emotional core. That's why we need a Christ consciousness. Today, Mentor Joseph was saying, majority of people on earth are stagnated or, having difficulties because they constantly think like this. I'm doing good in life. I'm a good person. I'm not like Bin Laden. I'm not like the dictators of the world. I'm not like those terrible criminals. I'm a good person. So they compare themselves to the worst. But our comparison need to be, and I say comparison, quote unquote, our reference is Jesus. I need to wake up every day and look up and say, oh, the personal trainer is already there. I need to go there. That's when we progress. We stay stagnated when we look down like, oh, I've climbed this much, I'm good. And then we're stagnated. So I really need to look at the law of progress and say, today I need to be better than yesterday. Oh, but I'm doing great. I help people who are sick. Once a week I go to the Spiritist Center. When I can, I help people, but I keep my whole day, every day, selfishly thinking about my problems, my needs, and my world. I'm stagnated. And when we're tested at the core of our issues, we have no strength to move forward. We fall apart. Because we're not aiming higher. Our reference is very low. The criminals of the world. I'm not a criminal. Great. I'm a good person. No, we're not. Even Jesus didn't accept the title good. Not because he wasn't good, but because he was saying, friends, we can't stay content with where we've come this far. We need to push ourselves higher. Always. Right? You're right, Sunshine. When there is abuse, we need to protect ourselves. You're right. We need to protect. But we're talking about scenarios in which I remember meeting a person who looked at his son who was like 3 years old and said, this guy, I hate him. And I know we were not friends in a previous life. He should be ashamed of saying this. He should go to the bedroom and say, Mamma mia, I'm such a primitive spirit that I'm not able to love this spirit that is in this cute body of a child. How can I be so inferior not to appreciate this being? Because this being is defenseless. Now, so we need to remind ourselves, push yourself to higher levels. When someone dies in a violent way or in extreme poverty or even suffering from bleeding pain, it's because the horrid avenger is being used by an inferior spirit and influenced by his evil instincts. No spirit incarnates upon the earth with higher orders to torture the guilty one yesterday. Nobody in this life is born to kill anybody. The Rosemary's Baby, that's fiction. What if this child came to my life to create a mess? No. That doesn't exist. Every child is born to progress. I am a child of God. You are a child of God. We reincarnated to learn to do good without exception. Reincarnation, the path of progress. This is not a music, this is reality. Every child is blessed. They are coming with a proposal of reconciliation with God, themselves, and others. You were reincarnated to reconcile with God, yourself, and others. You need to make peace with yourself and the world. Of all these 15 cases that Amália Domingo Soler told us, the conclusion is we need to learn to be a peacemaker. Nobody teaches us but Jesus. Jesus and the ones who are already attuned with Him. And that's why Divaldo Franco said once to me, Vanessa, the worst obsessors are the ones that are true enemies of the Christ. And we feel so sorry for them because they are just wasting their time. We can't resist to the loving call of Jesus. He knows us and He still holds us lovingly, as Emmanuel says in the book Living Spring. He's right now hugging you and I and all of us. He's always lovingly holding us tight. Shall we do a visualization? Let us visualize Jesus embracing us. And from His sacred heart, we see flames of love healing our hearts. He lovingly holds us in His arms as a divine friend, and He tells us, you are love. You are light. You are joy of living. Let us now visualize those in our lives whom we have difficulties. Jesus holding them lovingly and telling them, you are love. You are light. You are joy of living. Let us visualize especially those who persecute us, incarnated or discarnated. Visualize Jesus holding them lovingly and telling them, you are love. You are light. You are joy of living. Let us breathe in and out the healing love that comes from Jesus. And raise our thoughts to God in reverence and say, God, Father of our lives, thank you for your merciful heart that allows us to be here in this journey of this reincarnation and the opportunity of accessing these precious remedies for our soul, the Spirit's teachings. We owe to you the kindness of the presence of Jesus in our lives. And we especially would like to thank the kind and maternal presence of Amália Domingo Soler, We thank her for her sacrifices, for her commitment to the heart of humanity, and bringing to us this opportunity of reconciling with you, God. May we be more loving and grateful to you, less rebellious. Do not allow us to make justice with our hands, because that's an illusion. And please, thank you also for help us reconcile with ourselves our many lives. For we didn't know what we were doing. And thank you for the opportunity of encountering everyone whom we owe, so we can reconcile, make peace, begin anew. We believe in you. We believe in your love. And we only believe in the power of the good. With your permission, we conclude these moments of reflection in reverence to your infinite love, and so be it. Dear friends, let us meditate on the need of creating peace in our lives. The world needs peace, but it begins with us. Tomorrow, God willing, we will be here, beginning a new series, 10 Days of Peacemaking Skills. The good spirits have a lot to share with us. We'll be sharing passages, and everything will make that guests will come with us. And every day we'll have friends joining us, helping us realize the steps to peacemaking in our lives. Thank you so much, friends. God bless everyone. Let's stay together.